Well, I'd really like to thank Kareem for the opportunity to present here today, and I thank you all for sticking around. I realize I'm not only between you and lunch, but also a long weekend at the beach. So thank you for being here, and I think my talk is probably well described by the words of Monty Python. Now for something completely different. It's very intimidating to follow the panel discussion from the military on what they're doing to keep our warfighters safe and more effective, to shift into what we're doing in consumer products with shampoo and detergent. It's a little bit of a letdown, but hopefully you'll see some of the challenges that we're trying to cope with and perhaps identify some areas for collaboration. So here's what we're going to talk about today, and I'll try and run through this quickly since we're running behind. But I do want to give you an intro to our company so you really appreciate the challenges that we're trying to deal with, which is different than what most of you are. So there's a whole slew of industries, and consumer products are one of them. I, of course, missed construction and agriculture, so my apologies to our John Deere colleagues. But this is really where I'm going to focus today is consumer products. And P&G was formed in 1837 by these two gentlemen, William Procter, who was a candle maker, and James Gamble, a soap maker from England and Ireland respectively, who just happened to end up in Cincinnati for health reasons, and married sisters. And like all good father-in-laws, the father-in-law suggested the two go into business, and the rest has been history. We have, this is a photograph from the 1890s, and the reason I like to show this is the first example of an experimental products research lab in the United States. There were research labs, but P&G really invented the whole term in field products research. And we've carried this tradition of very heavy experimentation to understand products and consumer needs and develop new products to meet those needs. And what we're trying to do is to take this long heritage from the experiments into the computational arena. So to give you a little bit of background, you probably know us by our brands. We have over 300 of them around the world, and they're divided into basically three areas: our beauty and grooming, our health and well-being, and then our household care. And we've got $22 billion brands, although, as you've probably read, we're getting rid of Pringles as they sell off, yes. But we're selling it to another company in California, since it's the only food product we have. A decision at much higher pay grade than mine was made to let that go. But all of these, what these all share are certain platforms for innovation, as we call them, whether or not they're are detergents, which have enzymatic capabilities for cleaning, lifting stains, to power and mechanical devices, to fabrics and non-woven structures. And so we leverage those across platforms to try and increase our innovation and broaden the scope and the applicability of our products. We operate in 80 countries with 135,000 employees, and we've got technical centers on almost every continent. So we're spread all over the place, and the point of this slide is just to show you we are a global company, which presents a lot of challenges with respect to human simulation. Some fun facts to know: 4 billion times a day, someone touches and uses one of our brands in more than 180 countries. And I think we've heard throughout the past 2 days that understanding global populations and anthropometry and characteristics is very important. And so we're trying to deal with that not only in the US, but globally from all over. And so our goal is to make sure that our brands live up to the promise to make everybody's life a little easier every day and improve it. So why are we interested in human simulation? Well, this is a big reason. Every year we do studies with 5 million consumers across the planet. That takes a lot of time and a lot of money. And as you might guess, in any study you do, you have a limited amount of things that you can test, whether they're concepts, whether they're prototypes, or whether they're new products. And so this is a huge impetus. If we could create a digital consumer, we could test a lot more ideas and concepts virtually and save these kind of tests for what we've already pre-filtered through those virtual methods. So P&G as a company, we do have a rich history in modeling and simulation. And you'll hear the term atom to enterprise or molecules to marketplace, and our CEO uses this quite frequently in all of his speeches. And so there's a ton of modeling that's done looking at molecular interactions in formulations, in binding of surfactants to different residues to try and improve their lifting capability and cleaning capability. We also look at structural analyses, not only static but dynamic, of our devices. This is an example of a brawn razor that's been dropped on the floor, and if I don't have this magnified, but there's a part in here that was identified through this analysis that would shear on a simple drop test in a bathroom, which consumers would not appreciate after paying $100 or more for a power razor. This is an example of what we call anatomical modeling or human simulation, where we're looking at pad performance, feminine care pads, in a virtual model. We also do simulations on products. This is an example of a virtual mixing tank looking at liquid formulations and how we can best improve those for greater efficiency. And one of our favorites is an analysis of a Pringles chip. The reason that this is kind of entertaining is that if you think about manufacturing Pringles chips in their shape, the speed at which these travel down the manufacturing line becomes an aerodynamic problem. And so there were issues with stability, not only of keeping the chips on the line, but then also applying the flavorings to the chip and assuring that those particles went on the chip and not got scattered.
So they're literally flying off the shelf.
Literally flying off the shelf. We also do mechanical and converting models. So the examples of bottles going down lines to be filled, as well as the complex machinery in our paper making businesses. And then we also do a lot of reliability and logistics training modeling for our distribution. We believe, and through some third-party benchmarking, that we are a heavy user of supercomputing. These numbers are a bit old. We just put in a new HPC system last week, so I don't have all the updated numbers, but this gives you an idea that we're well above 4,000 cores. I think we're somewhere near 100 teraflops now, and well above 600 terabytes. And we manage over 80 software contracts a year, so we use a lot of software globally. And we certainly like to shrink that down, but in order to meet the individual needs across the globe, this is what we need to do. So now to talk about human simulation within P&G specifically. In P&G, and we have plenty of acronyms, and I would be happy to go up to any military personnel in the UC. We actually have an online thesaurus, it's so bad, to help people navigate P&G speak. So we call human simulation anatomical modeling and simulation, and our mission is to simulate in order to explore, to predict, and visually communicate our science and how it interacts with our consumers. And it's a growing area within P&G. We do have some areas with very long heritage, such as feminine care and feminine care products and baby care. But there's new areas that we're getting into now, such as oral care, personal health, and other areas. And I'll show a little bit of some of the challenges associated with each of those next. The analysis are very wide-ranging. They're not just kinematic. We deal with structural analysis, fluids analysis, multi-physics. There's biologic and physiologic analysis, like pharmacokinetic and pharmacodynamic modeling, optical modeling, you name it, we do it. Or we work with people who help us to do it. And we do have an open innovation culture where we collaborate extensively with industry, the government, and private sector. Our use of human simulation involves not only how the consumer interacts with the product, but probably most importantly, how the product interacts with the consumer, which really brings in more of the anatomy and tissue mechanics. So the applications of modeling and simulation in products and processes are anywhere from prototyping all the way down to virtual reality simulation, and even educating our customers. And our customers are people like Walmart, Target, places where you would buy our products, and our consumers, which would be you as an individual purchasing the product. So our interests in P&G are twofold, and for those of you that didn't talk to me, I think you'll be surprised where our main interest areas lie. But these are the two areas, sort of our employee and customers and manufacturing operations, and then our consumers. And so we do use modeling and simulation, looking in this area for looking at ergonomics, for designing new manufacturing plants, looking at maintenance of our paper lines, which are huge manufacturing facilities, and process efficiency. But in reality, that's a really small amount of modeling that we do. The big component is right here. This is where we do the most modeling that involves humans and where we want to do a lot more. And the reason for that, and I'm going to put this within the context of those three areas you saw, plus a fourth, is that all of our products are either in a package or they're a device. And before a consumer even has the chance to use our product, they will create an impression of it simply by picking it up and trying to open it. And so for the women in the audience who use different shampoos and conditioners, let me apologize in advance that some of our products are in packages which are notoriously difficult and painful to open in the shower because of design cues that were done by well-intentioned product designers or industrial designers, but were not screened by engineers. And so you have these beautiful designs that are really challenging to open and are painful. If you look at our laundry category, we've got a whole slew of SKUs in torque cap bottles, so things that have caps that you have to twist off. Well, these can present major issues when you look at the jumbo-sized ones that you may get at Sam's and Costco. And they present challenges not only for different people within anthropometry, so smaller women, but there's also the growing segment of the population, the elderly, who have poor eyesight. They have starts of arthritis, or even just a loss in muscle strength. So all of our devices and products in some way interact with the hand. So the hand is of large interest to us. Within our household care category, we've got these products. So let's start over here. We've got Puffs, Bounty, and Charmin. And so we cover everywhere from your nose, well, to your mouth. And if you think that people wouldn't possibly be interested in modeling the interaction of these with the body, you're wrong. Because all of these three items here are designed to do a few things. They're designed to contain and remove complex fluids, semi-solids from your body. And you can't model that without knowing how they interact with the body. And so having that as an integral model is important for making improvements in these products. So yes, we are interested. And just think of what kind of experiments need to be done in this category. You don't want to do it. Then there's our whole Pampers line, our diapers category, of nappies for the Europeans. And I was thinking over the past 2 days, perhaps for those of you who've had children or have babysat and had some unpleasant experiences, diapers could perhaps be looked at analogous to body armor, right? Instead of trying to keep projectiles from getting in the body, trying to keep projectiles close to the body. But again, a very complex business with complex materials to contain the solids and fluids that come out and prevent leakage. A very, very large part of our business. In our beauty and grooming category, we've got many, many lines of cosmetics. These are to show mascara and lipstick, but we've got foundations and other skin treatments for improving skin. There's the shampoo and conditioner businesses, and then our grooming. So if you think about removing hair from the face or other body parts. That's another large area for us. And being able to virtually evaluate new shaver designs before you manufacture them or prototype would be a huge win for us. And then lastly, our category of health and well-being, where we have a slew of products to help not only oral care, so brushing your teeth, rinses, toothpaste, floss, to Metamucil, which helps digestive motility. We've got products for the respiratory system and again, digestive system, and then our feminine care products. And all of these are lumped together because they're basically medical products. And an additional challenge for us is our products not only interact with our human consumers, but for P&G, our consumers sometimes go beyond humans. And because of our IAMS business, we have to consider our four-legged furry friends, which is another large part of our business. Probably not relevant to this community, but I thought I would bring it up. So what are some of the challenges that we deal with? Well, in order to create some of the models that we need the motions, and we need those accurately recorded. And you can use motion capture for some of these, but if you think about some of the products that we're talking about, and let's just take one, tampons, this is really hard to quantify. And so doing predictions is very difficult without accurate motion definitions. And then there's the whole boundary conditions. How are the specific products interacting with the consumer? Are there interfaces? Is there motion? What surfaces, what organs are creating pressures on the product as the consumer lives their daily life? Anatomic geometry is an enormous problem for us. We don't have volunteers that are on our payroll that we can scan necessarily as the military can to get this. More importantly, a lot of our products interact internally. So getting MRI data or CT data wouldn't necessarily pass an IRB for a consumer products need. So this becomes a challenge, and we're always looking for safe ways to do it that are non-invasive and, of course, fast capture to improve not only their accuracy, but more importantly, minimize the impact on the people that we recruit for this. Tissue properties is an enormous area for us, and we need these to be accurately recorded to reflect their in vivo conditions. We use cadaveric data that's published or that collaborators have received for us, but there's an enormous limitation there because we know it's cadaveric tissue. It's not going to be necessarily reflective of the in vivo condition. And we also need this recorded in dynamic conditions because we all know that tissue is nonlinear, so it behaves differently in dynamic versus static conditions. Lastly, since we have products that basically operate from head to toe, there's a wide area that we need to cover in terms of where we need this data from. So that presents another challenge. And then lastly, it's just the consumer diversity that's out there, the wide age range. I mean, we deal with everything from infants all the way up to the elderly, and gender, male and female, and then our global populations, because as you saw, we sell products in over 180 countries across the globe. So what are some of our needs then for these tools that we hope people in the audience and others will develop and that we need? Well, fidelity is always one. We've heard that. Biofidelity. While we'd love to have the perfect avatar, we realize that there's a balance between ideal and practical. And for some of our analysis, we don't need everything to be exact. We're happy to take this as a journey and to start someplace realizing that there's going to be continual improvements. We do need these tools to be scalable, however. One of the challenges that we want to do is integrate their use more broadly across the company. And so expert level tools that may take a year or two to master is not something that we're looking for solely. We would put those tools in the place of our expert users, people that are in the capability development organizations, and maybe one or two in each business unit to act as a resource. But we need other versions that maybe those are limited in the scope of what they can do, that more people can use them more routinely in their daily work and avoid the argument, which is often brought up of, well, I can just do it faster, experimental. We want to avoid that. We're trying to get beyond that. We've talked about the accurate anatomy and geometry, as well as the tissue properties. And then another area that's really important for us, as it is for most people making these investments, is we need to pay the bills along the way. My management and those that I sell these ideas to in the company are not very tolerant of giving them a 5-year horizon and saying, in 5 years I'm going to come back with this great tool. Just be patient and keep writing me a check every year. We need to have tools that when they come in the door, they add some incremental value that then we can build upon. We also would prefer to have tools versus one-off analyses. Often we're working with consultants or other companies that are happy to do an analysis for us, and they'll provide us with a report. But then as soon as we get that report, we look at it and we come up with 17 other questions we want to ask. And then we have to go back and write more checks. So what we're really looking for are tools versus single analyses. So in conclusion, I didn't provide a lot of background on this, but we do have a strong history and culture for modeling and simulation. It's not something we're new in, but we are getting our feet wet in human simulation area in P&G as a whole. We have isolated pockets where it's very strong, but we're trying to grow that influence across the country. We've got numerous challenges, including the accurate anatomic and tissue property data across a wide global geographic range. We need tools that we can use now and can be built upon for later. And then we want those tools in 2 categories or 2 flavors, those that would be reserved for experts, but also could be launched to our practitioners or novices within the company. And the last point I'd like to leave you with is that we do have a strong open innovation culture that was set up by our previous CEO, and that we use what's called Connect and Develop Open Innovation, and that's partnering with companies, research labs, industry, government that has technologies or tools that would benefit us, but may also benefit by partnering with us to gain access to our experimental data. Because as you saw, we're doing all of these studies every year. We have enormous databases on consumers, whether or not that's anatomy or tissue properties, or even images of particular parts of the body, faces, hair types, that we found that we can create win-win solutions so that we're not acting merely as a customer that's being sold technology, but that we co-develop new tools and technologies that then our partners can use in other areas to support their own business going forward. And so if any of you fall into this category, please see me. I'm interested in talking to you. So, thank you.